top of the morning, and it is a beaut.
And the hope of the Irish as the future champion of the world.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio.
Here's Barry J. McDonald and the RightCom.com podcast.
Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode from RightCom.com. And today's podcast episode is entitled, Who is in Charge of You? So who is in charge of you? Now, maybe you might be saying to me, well, I am my own guy, I'm my own gal, I am in charge of me, and I decide what I want to do, what time I get up at, what time I go to bed at, what I watch on TV, and all the different things that I do. But I would argue that point that right now you are probably not living the life that is your life. And the reason that you are not living the life that you should be living is because you are worried about what other people will think of you if you do. You're worried about what your parents will think of you. You are worried what your family will think of you. You are worried what your friends will think of you. You are worried about what complete strangers on the internet will think of you. You know, because right now you could be holding yourself back from maybe writing a fiction book because of those reasons. Because of those reasons. You're worried what would your friends think if they got a hold of your book, or you're worried what other people would think, complete strangers out there, what would they think of your fiction book? Or maybe if you're not doing content today, maybe for example, maybe TikTok videos or a podcast or something like that, chances are good the reason you aren't doing that, it's not because you're not qualified, it's not because you haven't got the skills, it's not because you can't do those things, it's because you're worried what other people will think of you if you do those things. Again, what would family, what would friends think if they listened to my episode? What if they heard me talking about some of my personal stories? What if they found out, that I'm embarrassed about this, or that I made this big mistake, or I blew all this money away and such a thing? What if other people found that out? And because of that, you're holding yourself back. What you've basically done is you have allowed those people, or what you think those people will think of you, you have allowed them to put you in this little box where you are only allowed to do certain things. You're only allowed to, do certain activities. You're only allowed to say certain things. You're only allowed to, keep within the safe space. But God forbid you should step outside that, because you will, attract attention to yourself. You will attract attention from your family, your friends and your neighbours and all those different things if you put, yourself out there, or speak freely or write freely or whatever. So what I want you to do maybe is just think about where you are right now. And even though you might have said at the beginning of this podcast episode, I'm free to do whatever I want to do, how free are you really living it? Or are you going to look back on your deathbed in some stage and say to yourself, something? I didn't live the life I wanted to live. I lived my life according to what my parents wanted me to be, or according to the little box or the little kind of slot that my family wanted me to do. This was the role that I had to play out, and that's the role that I played out for the rest of my life. But it wasn't the one that I wanted to do. So maybe think about that, and maybe think about just doing things for yourself, and screw the world, screw your friends, screw your family, screw all those random people on the internet, and just put yourself out there. Speak freely in your content. Record a podcast episode where you're just putting all your feelings out there, putting all your mistakes, all the different things out there, and let the world, judge you. And even if they do judge you, so what? You shouldn't really care about what other people think about you. Basically, the only person you should really care about who thinks about you is yourself. And, if you feel that you are putting good content out there, if you're not offending anyone, if you're trying to do your very, very best, well then, what should you really worry about? So try and see, maybe is there any way maybe you can release those reins of worrying what other people think of you, and just be yourself and try to put more of yourself in your business, and you will be surprised that your business may grow a lot faster because you are appearing vulnerable in your content, because you're putting more of yourself out there instead of giving the world this kind of stale, kind of sterilized version of you which isn't really you. So do the things that you want to do, because basically this is your life and you should live it the way you want to live it. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more from the RightCom.com podcast, be sure to subscribe now for more tips, tricks, and ideas you can use to make more money from your words. See you in the next episode.